Hi, everyone. This is Marianne Goldweber. I'm the owner of a Village Personal and Spiritual Development Center, and I'm a professional medium clairvoyant. And I'm here tonight with Marianne's House, which is our inspirational video podcast. So, welcome to the party. I'm signing onto my phone so that I can see everybody. Looking forward to it. So, thanks for joining me. I always wait for a second for everybody to get on. So I felt like today was such a strange and fun and weird day that I thought I would share with everybody some inspiration and spiritual insight so that we can navigate all this stuff better. And I look forward to our convo tonight. If you guys have any questions, just type them into the notes and I'll answer them as we go. For a second for everybody to get on. So I felt like today. All right. Hi, Laura. Hi, Britt. So here we are, Wednesday. There's some fun astrology coming up, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up and then answer any questions you might have or concerns or just sharing that we're all in this together and trying to navigate. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So a village is actually a collective of people that know me who've over the years, had events or sessions or interactions with me professionally and personally too. And currently, because of COVID and a lot of things that are going on, I've taken on doing this every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, just to keep us connected and make you feel like you're not, out there alone and crazy, and trying to navigate this evolution that we're experiencing. And this week has been just a little strange because we're at the end of this time of kind of cleaning up what's happened over the last year. So a lot of people have been experiencing a lot of interesting things that, especially from the past, that are kind of cropping up that we kind of need to put the kibosh on and finish. So that's what I try to do, is give you guys this spiritual perspective so that you feel like you can navigate that. And there's reasons for it, So once you have that spiritual understanding, which kind of rises above this human life, it kind of gives you an opportunity to put things into a better perspective. So we all need inspiration. Even I need inspiration. So getting onto these video podcasts for me is inspiring, because nothing's better than inspiring others inspires you. So that's what we're doing. So let's see who's with us. We got Kim and Jackie and Debbie. I always laugh. I said, it's Miss Barbara's Romper Room, and I get to say hello to everyone. Hi, Deb and Ralph. Ralph and Deb. I'm sure Deb's with you, so tell her hello too. So the cool thing about this is, when you come on here regularly, what I do is then once these videos are finished, they're live currently, and I upload those to YouTube. So I actually have a YouTube channel where you can rewatch these videos over and over. And I have sometimes special guests, people that I interview who have navigated some very interesting things, and they do some very interesting things out in the world. And so it's really to give people hope, to know that the things you're experiencing are really opportunities to learn and teach and use those experiences as tools for helping others. So a lot of the people I know are out serving people in all kinds of capacities. So we're going to have some special guests coming on. So next Wednesday, at 8 o'clock. I'm going to have my son Jared back on. He agreed to be on next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And he and I are going to be talking about, and this is something you guys might want to make note of or share this with people that you know, but we're going to talk about inspiration when it comes to being a creative person, or learning how to be a creative person. So we're going to talk a lot because he's a professional musician. He's also very analytical. He's also an electrical engineer. So, having this spiritual dialogue with somebody who is creative and can actually talk about, where that place of inspiration is and how to tap into it, that's something that he and I are going to talk about, as well as being raised in a spiritual environment. Okay, so Jared has been raised with this environment his entire life, and how those tools are serving him now that he's an adult. But in addition to that, it's to help maybe, this is a wonderful video that you might want to watch with your kids, or something that you want to watch, uh, to help you understand spiritual parenting, and how we affect our children, and how we need to challenge ourselves in order to push them out of their comfort zone, and expose them to all kinds of things in the world. And what a wonderful toolbox that creates later when they're older. So Jared and I are going to have that, really candid conversation about spiritual, being raised in a spiritual environment and having that kind of relationship. I'm very blessed to have the relationship that I have with him. And he's been on a very interesting, crazy journey with me as his mother. And so we're kind of fun to watch because we're funny. He's funny. I'm funny. I think I'm funny, but what do I know? I amuse myself all the time. So anyway, so thanks for joining me tonight. I'm so excited to be with you guys tonight. We made it one more week. Yay, and really having that understanding of what's going on right now. I'm telling you, today was so weird. I woke up, the lights were out. And somebody had hit a transformer down the street. It blew out our internet. It blew out our electrical, so we couldn't, do the normal things that we do, like making coffee and, getting in our Zoom meetings. All of us had work and meetings to attend to, and so we had to get very creative, okay, with what we had to work with. So, John was in his car doing a Zoom, class. He was doing a class on Zoom from his car because he had to plug it into a cigarette lighter to get his laptop to work. We all had to use our hotspot. So it's just been, again, having those ability to go to that plan B. You know, when all you know is plan A and you don't have a plan B, things go wrong and then you don't know what to do. So that takes a creative process to really look at what do I have to work with and how can I navigate when things don't go my way. Things not always go your way. And what I've also found out is my way isn't necessarily uh, the way. And what I want and what I need are sometimes two very different things. So I had an opportunity to talk to people today because my day got very spontaneous after that. And so I just left myself open to what is, not being mad about what I thought it should be. So I got a chance to really dialogue with some people that I haven't had a chance to talk to. And so it was just a wonderful opportunity. So, hi, Stephanie and Kim. And so, hi, Tony. And so, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and write them down, and we're going to talk about that. So, we're sliding down, waning, which is what they call it. When you go from the full moon down to the new moon, it wanes. And when it's going from the full moon to the new moon to the full moon, it's waxing. And then when it's going from the full moon to the new moon, it's waning. Okay. So our moon has been waning for the last 13 days. And this Saturday is the new moon, which is the beginning of the new month, the end and beginning. And so that is a wonderful time for letting go, because the moon is dark. So there's not a lot of answers. So it's a time of purging. It's a time of mourning. It's a time of really cleaning out our closet in order to make room for inspiration and new things to come. So I do a new moon group, which is called our Village Moon Lodge, a Village Moon Lodge. It's usually a feminine aspect, and so it's been our women's circle for a long time. But if anybody aligns with that kind of thinking, you're welcome to join. It's a private group, so if you ask to be invited or if you ask to join, then I'll definitely add you. And we follow a book that helps us through those monthly cycles. Um, and so we're going to be hitting the new moon. And so this is a time to really digest what's gone on for the last 28 days. For some people, because they've not really ever reflected on things, sometimes that new moon triggers a lot of things that need to be purged or finished or reflected upon. So this is a wonderful time if you guys need to get a private session. This would be a wonderful time to get a spiritual game plan in order to, clean out clean out those things so that we can, get the lessons out of it so that we can really begin to create some really cool and new things through this evolution that we've been experiencing in our world. When we come out into this world, it's going to be a whole new ball game. There's a lot of things that have changed. The way we behave, in the world and privately has really, we've done a lot of growth and change during this last year, and we're hitting the home stretch. So this is the better thing to do, especially with all the astrology that we've talked about in previous videos, is all about finishing. So we need to be finished with the past, and all we're taking from the past is the lessons, and we're being grateful and thankful for even the shittiest of experiences because they forced us into growth, and I'm grateful for the awareness. I've done a lot of things ignorantly, and those experiences helped me awaken to doing it a better way. And so I never resent those experiences anymore because they've made me who I am. Yep. All this is because of everything I've experienced. So, and that's a lot. I've experienced a lot of things in this life, good, bad, and otherwise. And again, our pain does become our purpose, and all of those experiences are tools that we use to fashion new and better ways to live. So, my life has gotten way better ever since I, um, you know, made changes for myself and in myself. So the way the world sees me, the way I walk through this world is much gentler than it was before. There's an old Hindi saying that says that it's easier to put on slippers than carpet the world. So putting on the slippers protects you from whatever you're going to walk on. So that's what we do. We come from the spiritual perspective, which is way above this human life. And once you can see it from that aerial perspective, it tends to depersonalize it a little bit. So yeah, hopes, faith, love. I mean, we're all having to practice those things now, and it's just so not always easy. Especially since there's a lot of people who are not liking this change, or they don't want to awaken, or they want to go back to the old way of, greed and power and all of those things. And yeah, that's just not working anymore, people. Yep. What happened to the dinosaurs when they refused to evolve? They went extinct. So a lot of these systems, a lot of these paradigms that we've been living under are going to go extinct. And thank God, because they weren't working anyway, and they hurt a lot of people. So there's a lot of things that are changing that are bringing us together and hopefully making us, more not only self-aware, but, conscious of how we're treating each other. And, and let's make this a better world. That's what I'm all about. So how about you guys? Oh, Emily. Hi, Em. And Adrian, Dana. It's so nice to see everybody on here. So let's see. There was a question I saw go by quickly. So Laura asked, is there any way to cleanse the house without sage? No more smoke allowed in my house. Okay, well, there's a big difference between sage smoke, and cigarette smoke, and fire smoke. Okay. Sage, when you burn sage, the smoke itself is what cleanses or neutralizes the energy. So using sage is the best thing to do because the vibration of that plant is about neutralizing energy. So it's a different kind of smoke, and I understand that you don't want smoke in your house, but the benefits outweigh the smoke itself. The smoke dissipates very quickly. The smell even dissipates very quickly. So if you open all the windows in the house, I would highly recommend using sage. But if you don't want to use sage, you can actually, make like a little spray with, and most people don't have these things readily available, but cedar and sage are two of the sacred herbs that we use to clear energy. So some people buy essential oils, sage, Salvia alpine, white sage. We use that sage oil, and we use cedar oil. You only need 1 or 2 drops in a whole spray bottle, like the size of a Pepsi bottle or whatever. And you have to shake it, and then you can use the spray and sweep when you clear energy. You can use essential oil in a spray bottle, or you can use salt, which is a neutralizer of energy as well. Um, and you put just a pinch of salt in a spray bottle full of water, and then you just spray and mist and sweep, and you just open the windows and sweep the energy out. You can also, use a broom to sweep around the perimeter of every room throughout the whole floor, and sweep it out the door, sweep it out the window. The bigger thing that it's not just the action of the sage or the salt, it's your intention. So as we're clearing our space, we want to be grateful for, whatever has happened before us. And we really want to take ownership of our space. So we really want to say, this is my house. I love this house. This is a place of peace and love and in abundance, and everything else has to go. And when you're setting that intention, those energies can't stay. They have to go because you said so. And so you want to say it like you mean it. And you want to, fill that house, push out the old energy and fill it with that new intention, of peace and love and abundance. And taking ownership for the house and saying, this is my house. I'm the protector and I'm the caretaker of this place. And we want to do that in a grateful way, but very forcibly, so that there's no doubt that that's your house and nothing is allowed in there without your permission, spiritually or physically. Okay. So, yeah. So anything that's happened in a building before you, those energies stick around. I call that residual energy. Okay. Which means it's residual. It's what's left over after a physical event. So, like when you have a party or if somebody dies, that human energy is still there of declining health. So, you always want to kind of clear your house once a month or so to really just push out old energies. But the first time you do it, quite often people call me to do it because it's not mine. And I can also tell you where it gets stuck because of whether it's the way the house is built or placement of furniture. So sometimes we have to set up things like mirrors or to help energy move in a more conscious way. So, so yeah, for sure. I just want to, give you guys some comfort in that. Because a lot of people hire me to do that. But currently with COVID, I am not coming to people's houses unless that house is empty, like it's a brand new, not a brand new house, but not moved into yet. So a lot of times I'll clear energy before people move into their house. And so, yeah, just give me a call if that's something you want to schedule. So if you guys go to my website, which is mariannegoldweber.com, all of my information is on there. My phone number, my email address. If you really want to schedule something, I would recommend you call me directly because I don't always see emails the day I get them or any text messages. That for me is not the best way to get a hold of me because I get so many texts and calls, or excuse me, texts and emails and things like that. It takes me days to get through as many as I get sometimes. So it's always best if you guys just call me directly. And that way we put you right on the calendar and it's a done deal. I think text takes too long, back and forth, back and forth. I could have already made a phone call and been done with it already. So I'm not old school isn't a bad thing. It's definitely a better way of communicating, much clearer. So I'm all about clarity, and I don't like beating around the bush. For those of you that know me, know that's true. I am very forward, very clear. I try to be a very clear communicator. So anyway, so do you guys have any questions? Today's the day. So again, we're coming up to the new moon. So if you're feeling some kind of way or you're feeling emotional, just ask your inner self, what am I feeling? Identify the emotion. So I'm feeling sad. Okay, so I'll write down I'm feeling sad. Well, and then I ask myself, what are you feeling sad about? And then just write that down, and then just give it a voice. Let yourself feel that. Let yourself say those things out loud on the paper. And when you process that emotion, we're we're saying it out loud to the universe. We don't have to like it. It's just what you're feeling. It's part of this human experience. We feel things, but a lot of what I feel doesn't even belong to me. So as I clean out my closet, the things in the world just don't affect me the same way, because I've processed what I'm feeling. And then when I'm done doing that, I take a salt shower and I wash off energy, and then it's kind of like a done deal. So, if you're feeling some kind of way this week, don't be surprised, because this is what it's like. I always joke that it's kind of like PMS, except everybody gets it. So everybody gets real cranky before the new moon. So by Friday, there's going to be a lot of crabby ass people out there. And then Saturday, when the new moon comes, everybody gets real sad. Oh my God, all of a sudden it's like this big relief. And so, yeah, and so take this weekend would be a perfect time to really rest and regroup and just nurture yourself and give yourself that time to just, process and let go. So whether it's something from the past or something that happened last week, everybody's feeling a little more sensitive than normal. So don't be surprised if you're having an emotional experience. We've experienced a lot of change, which initiated a lot of grief process for a lot of people. So, that emotion is very valid. Everybody's awakening, everybody's having some kind of a, come to Jesus awareness, and not everybody's liking it, and we can't really change what we can't acknowledge. So, having that time, taking that time to really process what you're feeling and talking to yourself, like truly talking to yourself. How often do you really ask yourself, so how you doing? How you doing, Marianne? You feeling okay? Something on your mind? Something you want to talk about? And I have that dialogue with myself. I've written myself a million letters about, life and things. And once you let that emotion out, then that higher truth, that higher knowing comes in that's reassuring and, helping guide you to the lessons and things. And so, you know, how often do you really ask yourself, hey, Mirror, how you doing? I talk to myself every week with you guys, and I get to watch myself talk to myself, which is hilarious. And when I'm done, I listen to these videos. I take notes on my own damn videos because I'm basically channeling this stuff for you guys. I just talk about whatever comes through, whatever comes through comes out my mouth, and that's what the universe really wants to talk about tonight. So I'm open to whatever they want to talk about. And then if you guys have questions, then that's something that we can, address as we go. So if you have any questions as we're going tonight, go ahead and put them on there. You guys are very quiet out there tonight. You're not writing nothing down. Hey, Rachel. Well, it's good to see all of you guys. Yes, so Laura, yes, you can clean energy in a house without sage, but really, sage is the best. The cool thing about when I smudge and use sage to clear energy in a building of any kind, or even on myself, is you can watch the smoke work. The smoke actually, uh, it'll hang and you can see it just stop moving. And that's kind of where it's working. So it gives you an idea of where the sticky spots are. So as I'm sweeping with one hand, I'm watching the smoke with another to see how it's moving. And so as we're sweeping, you want to open those windows and you can watch that smoke go out the window. And it's a beautiful thing. You feel like you can watch it carrying that energy outside. And so opening, especially now, this weekend is going to be perfect for this because the weather is going to be beautiful. Even if it's raining, just open all the windows and just let the air, the breeze come through the house. And that in itself is clearing. And another thing that actually helps with clearing or letting energy come and go in your house that's good is making sure your windows are clean. Dirty windows are a block to good energy coming into your house, the sunlight and all the good things that are filtering in. So, cleaning windows is another thing that you want to do if you want to change the energy in your house as well, if you're able to do that. Well, kids, yeah, so we got the new moon coming. So that's always just a time of um, letting go, purging out what hasn't come to be, or making peace with the things that we've already experienced. We have to let that emotion out or it'll make you sick. It makes you sick mentally, it can make you sick physically. And so anytime we repress what we're feeling, that creates dysfunction in our body and in our mind. And so, not we don't have a lot of people listening right now. And that's why the work I do is important. This is why we have to reach out and talk to each other. If you guys are feeling some kind of way, don't sit in your head with that. Okay, that's a dangerous place to be. So it's better if you just give somebody a call and say, "Hey, I'm feeling some kind of way. Can you listen?" And just let them know you just want them to listen. They don't need to offer you any insight. They don't need to offer you any solutions. We get to our own solutions when we process out loud. Once I hear myself out loud, then that higher divine voice comes in with the answer. And so we sometimes deny people the ability to process what they're feeling because uh, just because somebody's sharing doesn't necessarily mean that they want your advice or your input. So I always ask them, do you want my perspective on this, or do you just want me to listen? And normally they'll just say, well, I just want you to listen. And so I just observe and I listen, you know, and I listen for, what they're saying underneath all the emotion. But we can't change it until we hear it out loud. And very few people actually have conversations with themselves. They need another person sometimes there to just be objective, just a sounding board. So before you interject with your own advice, okay, without it being asked for, just because somebody's saying, "Hey, I need you to listen," just listen. Just hold the energy for them while they're having their, emotional process. So people get to their own answers pretty quickly, believe it or not, if you don't interfere in it. So, but nobody's being heard. And so, I talk to myself, I talk to the other side. It's nice to have my go to people in my life that I talk to. They don't judge it, they don't interfere in it, they just listen. And I am so grateful for that because sometimes you just got to hear it out loud. So, my go to people, I'm so grateful for them, and you know who you are, people, without me outing them. So, yeah, we all need a village. We all need, core people to go to that are compassionate and understanding and trust you, and they're unconditional. So, if you don't have that, that's why we're here. There's no judgment here. So if you want to schedule a session or there's just something you have to say out loud, just give me a call. But that's the beauty of the village is that once we start meeting up in person, or we start doing these things where you're together more, you're seeing the same people on here all the time. So, Ralph's on here all the time. Stephanie's on here all the time. Emily has been in my village and doing this with me for over 20 years. So there's a lot of people on here who've been doing this for a really, really long time. I've known Deb for at least 10 years now. So again, once you get to meet these people and you see them regularly, I've seen so many beautiful friendships occur because of just getting together and having events and classes and outings and whatever and service projects. And so you get to meet new people who are cool, who are spiritual as well, who are doing wonderful things out in the world. And, we do it together sometimes. So when you get a chance, okay, so what is we got here? Well, so Stephanie says, I'm trying to process everything. Okay, you can't clean out the whole closet in one day. You have to kind of take things out one at a time and process it, and so you can't just dump out the whole closet in one day. Hey, Amy Miller. Suzanne is asking, what else should we do to handle COVID? Oh, handle COVID. Well, stay masked up. If you have to go out in public, think about your fellow man, even if your fellow man's not thinking about you, and protect yourself. And it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting others until you can get vaccinated, if that's what you choose to do. Um, I've survived so many viruses. When I was a kid, there was polio, there was smallpox, there was measles, there was the mumps, there was chickenpox, there was just assorted things that were going around that were truly debilitating. When people say virus, we're not talking about the flu here, okay? And that's why people are so. It's interesting because I'm 60 years old, so I've seen things that a lot of people, even just in the last generation, have never even thought about. I had the mumps. It was awful. Okay. The residual effects from some of these viruses were life altering. Okay. So when you think about polio, now we have polio vaccines. Okay. And they came out when I was born, in 1961. People started getting the polio vaccine because it was physically debilitating. Like people couldn't walk afterwards, or they had to be, they had horrible respiratory paralysis, all kinds of awful things. And, I've known people in my life who've had polio who are severely affected. I worked with a gentleman who had polio, and his, and could not walk. He had to use special crutches in order to, be mobile because of childhood polio. And now it's eradicated because of um, uh, global vaccination. Okay, so that's just a disease that we don't even have to really worry about all the time anymore because it's been eradicated through mass inoculation and, just the disease doesn't exist. Well, it does in some third world countries, and that's why we still get vaccinated against it. So, things like smallpox. Smallpox took out half of the Native American culture. It killed so many people when the Europeans brought smallpox here. It killed off a huge portion of Native American people who'd never been exposed to anything like that. And smallpox was deforming. I mean, like, if you lived through it, I mean, it caused, all kinds of the skin lesions caused all kinds of deformities. So people don't remember what these diseases were like. So having the fact that we have an ability to be immune to this, I've stood in line for vaccinations. I've had the measles, both kinds, and that's why my eyes were so bad. My vision was affected by measles, and so that's why I started wearing glasses when I was 5 years old, because of me being exposed to the measles twice. And so, yeah, so that's the thing people don't remember because these diseases really don't exist like they used to. They were epidemic, and we would have a quarantine sign on our house. The health department would come by and quarantine you, and you were not allowed to leave, to keep from spreading this. And yeah, so wearing a mask, you know, uh, keep social distancing. I know that you're lonely or you want people around, but your want is affecting other people. So I think we need to be still very careful. And I know that we're bored and but we don't want to be petulant either and not give a shit about other people, because this thing will kill you. It will kill a lot of people. I know people that have serious health issues because of COVID, um, they're going to have for the rest of their life. And so anyway, so we don't know enough about it, but do what speaks to you and what feels like the right thing to do. So I always just do the next right thing. It's just easier. And so for me, I'm willing to wait. I did have my first COVID shot though, and I'll be going for the next one soon. I'm very lucky to have been on the list, so I'm looking forward to being back out in the world. But even I don't want to carry it either, so I'll still mask up and I'll still do what I have to do to keep everybody safe, safe as we can. So I'm looking forward to being back out there with you guys and doing events and getting a new space. That's my biggest primary focus, is to get a new space so that we have somewhere we can meet up and do these things. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah, I had the mumps. Oh my God. For those of you that ever had the mumps, wasn't that awful? Oh my God. Your lymph nodes swell up like this. It's the most painful thing. I had a fever of like 105. In fact, my mother had to put my brother, I mean, back then, and you don't do this anymore, is they put us both in a bathtub with just tepid water. It felt like it had ice cubes in it. Okay, and then they rubbed my brother down with alcohol, and he ended up having a convulsion. He went into convulsions. My brother gets fever convulsions. Now he's a grown ass man, but I remember that. It was terrifying. My poor mother, no wonder she was like she was. But yeah, when you have two kids, like everything I got at school, I would bring home to my brother, or vice versa. And so that's how we got the chicken pox. That's how we got the mumps. We had all these things simultaneously. So this poor woman had two kids at one time with these debilitating, awful, awful fevers. And and for boys, mumps can be very dangerous. It can make them sterile, for life. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that the fact that we have these vaccinations now really are life altering. So anyway, but you believe what you want. Believe what you want. Mumps too long ago to remember, but I know mom said the fever was dangerous. Yes, 105. I had my mother used to wear house dresses like June Cleaver, okay? And she had this white dress with little red pinstripes on it, and I was delirious from the fever, and all I could see was that dress going wow, wow, wow. I'm like, Mom, take that dress off. I'll never forget that. That's when our doctor used to make house calls. The doctor used to come to your house back then. I know, right? I mean, I swear to God, I feel like I was born in three different, time zones. But yeah, the mumps were awful. And it was so painful because your lymph nodes in your neck would swell up like this. So you couldn't even see your neck. It was so painful. Yeah. Well, most of these things had fevers that went with them. So, anyway, enough about that because I'm old and I remember those things. Um, yeah, so there's those of us that are old enough, we have a scar where they used to scrape your skin with the smallpox vaccine. And we, old folks, we all have a scar from that. Now they don't even vaccinate for smallpox anymore, you know? 250 for a doctor house call. Well, rather than dragging two sick kids down to the doctor's office, the doctor used to come to you. Chicken pox. Yeah. Oh my God, chicken pox. My mother used to put socks on your hands so you couldn't scratch yourself and calamine lotion. They say the scar you have is the first chicken pox you got. So the first one I got was on my forehead, and I have a chicken pox scar there. And that was the first scar. My son, even though he had the vaccine, he still got a very, very, very light case of chicken pox. And the first one that I saw on him is where he has a scar. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, if you scratch those, you'd end up with what they call pock marks. Okay, and pock marks are when you scratch those sores, the scab, and it would leave a scar. Yeah, so you weren't allowed to scratch them, and it would spread them all over yourself. You used to get them in your mouth too. Yeah, that was pleasant. So yeah, vaccines are awesome. Just depends on what it is and what your belief structure is. But I think people that are truly against it just don't remember like how many people died or were affected by this in a bad way. So anyway, well, I'm so grateful for you guys tonight. You guys don't have a lot to say. I think everybody's pretty melancholy. But the energy for the last week has just been a lot of finishing and upheaval. So if you've had upheaval or things happening in the last week, it's because the universe is trying to clear your closet, clear your road, because we want to walk back out into this world freer, lighter, more peaceful, more connected, more giving a shit about your fellow man. Finding ways where we can serve and help each other get successful, get empowered, and so, yeah, this time of separation is over. If you guys have learned nothing in this time, it's how much we miss and love people. I mean, I'm going to go hug everybody I possibly can get my hands on, okay? So watch out in the grocery store, people. If you see this white-haired giant woman coming at you, you'll know what's going on. So yeah, this is really all designed by the universe to make us kinder and better. What doesn't kill us does make us stronger. There's been a lot of awarenesses that have been brought to people's attention that they weren't really conscious of before. Now that we know, the truth does set us free. So where do we just, you know, learn something new? Get invested in people. Open yourself up to diversive thought and diversity. Learn to come to someone else's perspective before your own. How does they see it? How does it feel to be them? I mean, that's the things that we need to stop and really take the time to assess as we're working with humanity. We're all a mixed bag of nuts. We all have this ugly Louis Vuitton carry-on of crap with us. Okay, everybody's got one. It's all got the same shit in it. So whether it's dysfunction or trauma or, bad treatment, it's just that some people have the carry-on and some people have the 12-piece set. It's just degrees of how severe was it. But we're all the same. We like to think we're different, but we're not. We've all had lesser and greater experiences in this life. I've given lesser and greater experiences to others in this life, and owning your side of the road and, being the better person. You want to be a peacekeeper. Peacekeepers don't mean just, uh, not getting involved. Sometimes the peacekeeper is the defender, the person who takes up for other people, who defends them and champions them. Okay, so let's all be champions. Champion the other guy. Don't kick him while he's down. We've all been down, and I hope you never get down to that place. And I've been down there. I don't want a lot of people beat me up. And so we don't want to be those people. We want to be lifting people and defending them against people that do bad things to each other. So anyway, that's kind of what we talk about. What's the point of having a spiritual life if we're not, doing God's work? What would Jesus do? What would Muhammad do? What would what would the whatever spiritual path you follow, what would the most sacred leader do? What would the Dalai Lama do? You know, that's who I want to emulate. Those people. It takes risk to be uh, connected with people. There's personal risk in it. Getting invested and involved and loving people. You know, it's okay to treat them shitty, but loving people is a taboo. I have a very hard time with that. So anyway, I know there's a lot to process, Stephanie. Don't be surprised. One thing at a time, my friend. You can't dump out the whole closet in one day. Deb Wagner says, "You're not the only old one here. I have a scar on my arm too from being vaccinated." Me too. Mine's right. I don't know. It's probably faded now, but because I'm so old. Oh, it's right there. There's my scar. Mine's really long. That doctor must have went, My sister's is on her leg. It's on her leg. Yeah. But then they stopped doing it in like 1972. No, 76, 75. Around there they stopped because it was under control. Catherine, it would be amazing if everyone could visit another culture and see how wonderful it is. I love learning new things, and I've always been curious about other cultures. I've always been curious about other religions. So that's why, being raised, Catholic, it was very, don't look outside this, this is all there is. And I've always been that person who was curious about other people and how they lived. And, I come from ethnic people. Okay, so my people are Serbian. So I understood Eastern European people. I understood because my people were immigrants. So I knew them. They spoke with a accent. They spoke another language. I wish I had learned. They didn't like talking in their native language because they wanted to be American. Okay, so they learned English, even though it wasn't great English. They learned English and they really didn't talk their own language unless it was amongst each other. But they never taught us the language, which I was very sad about that. I wish I was able to speak Serbian and German and in those languages of my ancestors that I knew. I knew them. So anybody who thinks that they're American, okay, you did not come from, unless you're Native American, you're not from here. And somebody in your past immigrated here, whether it was by force or choice. Um, a third of Ireland left Ireland because of the famine and a lot of bad things that were going on. And a third of the country immigrated to the United States in the end of the 1800s. A third of the entire country of Ireland immigrated to the United States. I mean, that's a shit ton of people, okay? And they went to those cities that are more diverse. Okay, so Cleveland is one of those diverse cities because our city was built with immigrants. They worked in the shipyards, they worked in the mines, they worked doing the labor, and so, this was an industrial place where we made steel, and so, yeah, so this was a hub for people who immigrated. We have still neighborhoods of different nationalities that exist because we're a city of immigration. Just like all the big cities, they're more diverse. Like Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia. Those bigger cities had diversity because that's where the jobs were and that's where people went. So yeah, I mean, to not understand diversity, I mean, you'd never have other kinds of food. I love different ethnic foods. I mean, I love Cuban, I love Mexican, I love Indians like and Pakistani. Those foods are like my favorite foods. And we have so much more to choose from when we can understand people's cultures and where they come from, and why they do the traditions and rituals that they do. So yeah, I think that we're denying ourselves just really a beautiful thing by saying separate or thinking that your nationality or whatever is the best or superior to. That's ridiculous. Um, yeah. So just learning other people's cultures and customs are just, I think it's beautiful. We don't misappropriate them, however. Okay, it's one thing to appreciate them, and it's another thing to steal their stuff. Okay, so that's a whole nother dialogue for another day. So I'm just so glad to see all of you guys, and Oh yeah, you mean uh speaking Gaelic. Yeah, so Claire's saying wish she knew the Irish language. Family history says before age 3 I could swear in 2 languages. I know, right? We learned all the bad words in Serbian. Okay, that's all I knew is because I would hear my grandmother and mother and her family would speak Serbian when they didn't want us to know what they were talking about. And so we always picked up the dirty words, first. So anyway, so those words I know, but the conversational part I do not. Deb. Deb, so anyway, I don't think I don't see things as good and evil. I think that's a polarity. I think of things more in light being light that you have to reach for the light, and dark, which is something that pulls you down. And I think there's an absence of light that that gave, the dark. When you shine the light on the darkness, it goes away. But it takes twice as much light to overcome that. And so I think that when people are uninspired and they're oppressed and they're being controlled with fear, that can appear very evil. But I don't believe in it being like the devil or something evil that's lurking in the hearts of men. The lack of love and the lack of light is what's not present. And so the more light you are, the less the dark can exist. So we need to bring all our little candles together and just shine, and setting boundaries to those things that are not of God or not godly. And so again, people have a way of outing themselves. The truth will always comes to light. Okay, it's just that now we need people to defend it, people to defend the light and the right thing. People who are not afraid to stand up and say, no, this is not okay. And I think people are being very empowered right now to do that. And I'm so happy because a lot of people have suffered for a very long time because no one was willing to, say or do anything. Fear is an awful thing, and yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But no, this has always been here, Deb. Okay, here's the thing. There's people who know that this has been going on for a long time, but a lot of people are finally awakening to it. And they're acting like it just started happening. This has been going on for generations. This is not new. It's just been undercover. And now people are waking up and seeing it because it's become so normalized that people are finally waking up and realizing that, um, yeah, that the bad thing's been going on for a really long time. So, we can all just wake up and get with the program. Anyway. All right, kids. Well, that's all I got. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them on there. But I just want to keep you guys inspired. There's so many amazing. We're going to come out to a whole new world. We're reevaluating the way we do everything. I talk about this in other videos. When I worked in corporate, they would never let you work from home. Okay, and now with the advent of technology, we can stay connected. We can work remotely. Everybody's reevaluating working smarter, not harder. You know, not having to commute all the time. Um, there's a lot of things that we're going to be changing the way we do what we do. I've seen significant changes already, and I know it's been challenging to not do the normal thing, but frankly, some of those normal things really aren't normal and they need to change. Okay. So everything's under an evaluation process right now. And so we have to be patient and stop being, complaining about it for Christ's sake. I mean, change is not easy and it takes time, especially when you've got people resistant to doing anything the new way. They only know the old way, so therefore the new way must be bad or wrong or whatever. Um, but again, change, we have to change. We have no choice. So we can either go willingly and be part of the change, or we can resist it and be an asshole. So whichever you decide. But there's only suffering when it comes to things that refuse to evolve. It's just going to get more painful. So, you know, uh, I'm excited. So let's change that word fear into excitement. I'm excited to get it back out in that world, and I'm excited to see more people getting engaged and involved in their own lives and in our communities. I mean, this is a very exciting time. I'm truly excited to see you know, all the progress that we can make when we work together. So, so thanks for being part of my village. And if you guys get stuck or lost, just give me a call. The number is on my website. It's 216-324-2657. And yeah, we get further together. You know, we can take a clue from nature, okay? So let's look at geese, for instance. Okay, a goose can only fly so far alone. But when geese fly in a formation in that V shape, it's aerodynamic. Okay. And so the toughest goose goes up front and he takes that headwind. I mean, he's the strongest one in the flock. And so he's up front. And then the older the goose is, the more he's in that back where he doesn't have to fly as hard. So when geese fly in a formation, they can fly 3 times as far together as they can alone without resting. So as the head goose gets tired, he drops back and another goose, fresh goose, takes the lead. Okay, could you imagine if we all flew in formation and we all took our turn being, taking the brunt and giving other people a chance to rest and flying in formation and working together. We get further together, and that's exactly where that saying comes from. So one goose can only fly so far, but when they fly in formation, they can go 3 times as far without resting. And they've learned how to work together. And the old folks don't have to work as hard. The younger ones take the headwind. So, when we look at nature and how nature operates, it doesn't say, oh, well, he is a prettier goose, so he gets to be up front. Or, oh my God, the stuff humans do. We're so remedial, I swear to God. So anyway, so yes, let's be willing to learn. Let's be willing to try new things. Let's get excited about the future, not fearful, and know that you're not alone. We're all out here doing it. And if you're watching this today, you're part of my village. Okay, we're all part of this collective cosmic family. Whether we're blood related or not, we're bound by our humanity. Okay, so it doesn't matter what package your meat suit is, what color it is, what it believes. We're all the same. We like to think we're different, but we're not. You know, and it takes a village. We can't do this by ourselves. So, thanks for being part of my village. Thanks for following me. If you guys ever get anything cool out of these videos and you want to support the cause, just there's a donate button on my website, and there's also a donate button on my YouTube channel. And feel free to share this stuff. All my stuff is public. I've got no shame to my game. So if you decide to subscribe to my YouTube channel, when I get enough followers, then I can monetize those videos. So I can't do that unless I have 1,000 followers. I think I'm at like 150 now. So we got a ways to go. So if you want to forward my things or share my stuff, I'm very grateful. And I cannot wait till we see each other in person because I'm going to give you a big fat hug. Yes, I will. I'll ask permission first. I don't just spontaneously hug people without asking them. So let's see if I have any other questions before I wrap up. Hey, Rachel. I have too many windows to get cleaned. Well, then clean the ones that are, most important. Don't worry about get some of them cleaned. All right, kids. It would be amazing if everyone could visit another culture and see how wonderful it is. Oh, I know, Catherine. God, there's so many beautiful, most cultures are ancient. They're way we're like petulant teenagers here in the United States. We're so far away from our ancestral ties. Do you know most people don't even know where they're from? They have no idea what their ancestral roots are. I was so blessed to know where my people come from. And again, we have to really start just, trusting each other and asking questions. Some of the interviews that I'm going to have on here are going to talk about some difficult things. And so stay tuned for the weeks to come. I'm going to be interviewing some amazing people. And then you can watch us have those conversations. We can't be afraid of each other. We have to be able to say, hey, I don't know, but I'm willing to hear and learn. And I want to know what you think. I want to know how I could be better. Nobody's going to ever fault you for that. It's when you walk around ignorant, spewing bullshit is when people get offended. Okay, and when you don't understand what you're doing. But I've never had a adverse reaction to saying, "Hey, I want to know more," and I'm willing to say I don't know. So educate me. I want to know. So, because I don't want to walk around in this world ignorant, hurting other people by accident. So, So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have some friends on and we're going to talk about some very serious conversations so that you guys can see that, we can't be afraid of each other. We just, all we can do is learn to go to each other's perspective and try to be as kind and compassionate as we can, and learn to communicate. So I love you all. It does take a village. Okay. We can't do this alone. And if there's anything you need, don't hesitate to give me a call. My number's on my website. And I always look forward to our time together. So thanks for listening to me. And I hope this brought you some kind of inspiration and hope. And just know that if you weren't told today that I love you, okay? And I really mean that. So you're not alone. Stay tuned, stay well, and if you need anything, call me. Thanks so much. Bye, Village.